The team took Cam Brown, linebacker out of Penn State, with the 183rd overall pick in the 6th round. And we are now joined by a very special guest, the man who coached them at Penn State for the last few seasons, the head man for the Nittany Lions, the Penn State football head coach, James Franklin. Coach, you got Lance Meadow and Paul Dottino here on Giants.com. Big Blue Kickoff Live. Greatly appreciate the time today. I hope you and yours are safe and healthy. How's everything on your end?
Awesome. I appreciate the opportunity to be on. I hope your guys' families are doing well, and I hope everybody that's listening at home is healthy and getting through this situation well.
Absolutely. Well, let's start with the Giants selecting Cam Brown. What are the Giants getting in the versatility that he's going to bring to the table at that linebacker position?
Well, I think it starts with intelligence. You know, he's a smart guy. He's played all three linebacker positions for us, the Sam, the Mike, and the Will. His senior year, he played the what we call our Sam linebacker, which is the field linebacker. A lot of time where the nickel will line up there out to the field over the slot receiver. But he's played the boundary linebacker. He's played the Mike. He's smart. And he's, obviously he's unusually long for a linebacker. I mean, you're talking about a guy that measured over 6'5", 230 plus pounds. I think I know he was disappointed with his 40 time. He was expecting to run in the 4.6s and didn't do that. I think, at the pro day at Penn State, I think he would have had a chance to put up a little bit better time. But, I think what you guys are seeing with our Penn State guys is they're smart, they're reliable, they know how to be pros. He's going to need to be a special teams guy as well, and he understands that. I'm hoping he can come in there and do a great job for you guys and make you proud, because we're very proud of him.
Coach, you mentioned the versatility aspect of playing the three different linebacker positions, and it's clear that the Giants are valuing versatility very highly in this new defense under this new coaching staff. But do you suspect that will be his role in terms of playing all over the place? Or do you think at the pro level they may try to hone in on one or two of his traits and kind of box him into something that might be more of his specialty?
Yeah, I think what you always want to do is you want to get a guy into a position that he can call home. We did it at Penn State, not really in one season. It's over his 4 years. He played all three spots, and we're big believers in versatility as well, because we also know, for these guys' future in the NFL, the more positions and the more things you can do, not just in the NFL, but in any organization, the more things you can do and the more value you can bring, the better everybody's going to be. And obviously your opportunity to make an impact increases. So whether that is on special teams, whether that is multiple linebacker spots, and now he can get to the Giants, and now the Giants can plug him in where he brings the most value. But I think his intelligence is what allows him to do that.
Coach, you brought up his length at 6'5", 233. GM Dave Gettleman and head coach Joe Judge even said that was one of the first traits that attracted them to Cam Brown. What is it about his length that enables you to move him around and have him do so many different things?
Well, it's interesting because, the reason coaches like speed and the reason coaches like length is, you talk about the football field. The football field, obviously, the length of it, the 53 1/3, the width of it, the 53 1/3, the length of it. What you're trying to do is you're trying to reduce space. You're trying to take away space, and you can do that with your speed and athleticism, and you can do that with size. And when you get a guy that has a little bit of both, then obviously it makes those throwing lanes for the quarterback more difficult. It makes your ability to make tackles and have a bigger tackle radius, no different than a receiver with a catch radius. So length is important because it takes away space from an offense. And now when you take the combination of good speed, length, and intelligence, because intelligence is the other thing. Intelligence allows you to play fast. If you could be the fastest guy in the 40, but if you can't process information quickly, then you have a difficulty playing fast and again taking away space. So I think that's what is attractive to the coaches with the Giants about Cam, one of his unique qualities.
It's interesting that we talk about his physical traits, Coach, because I see that he was a major in kinesiology, which is the study of body movements, and I don't usually hear that about players. I wonder how much of that, if at all, may have also helped him to hone and sharpen his game.
Yeah, I think so. I think you've seen this, at Penn State for a long time. We take a lot of pride in it. At Penn State, our guys are getting real majors. Our guys are studying challenging topics. That mental toughness and that ability to solve problems we think is really important, not just in football, but for the rest of their lives. I mean, our corner who got drafted got a degree in computer engineering. So, that's what we're all about, is making sure we have well-rounded guys that are going to have a chance to not only bring value to the Giants organization, but also the community as well. I think you guys are going to really like getting to know Cam. One of the things he struggled with early on was putting on weight. He's such a long, lean guy that it took him a couple of years to get over 230 pounds, and I think he'll just continue to chip away at that. As we all realize, the three of us on this call, when you get older, for some reason, it becomes a little easier to put weight on. So that's not a problem for any of us.
I think we could.
If I can follow up on that for just a second. Not only do you talk about his ability to take on the challenges in the classroom, but also I noticed he was voted the team captain. So that also says to me a lot about him as a person in the locker room and relating to other people.
Yeah, and Cam was probably the leader from a standpoint of the guy that really did a good job of representing the players, but also being able to kind of sell the coach's plan and vision as well. He was a true liaison. I know that sounds probably obvious, but what happens a lot of times with these captains is you got captains that maybe are really strong with the players, but not as much with the coaches. You got some captains that align with the coaches, but is not as much with the players, and Cam was a blend of that. He could really go into the locker room and had a strong voice with the players, but then could also have really good conversations with the coaches as well, be a true liaison between the two parties, and really had a unifying presence.
We're talking with the head football coach at Penn State, James Franklin, as the Giants took linebacker Cam Brown in the 6th round. And related to that subject, Coach, Joe Judge, on a conference call with the media after the Giants made that pick, he called Cam an alpha dog, and he said that from talking with defensive line coach Shawn Spencer, who you clearly know well, and we'll get into him in a little bit, he raved about his ability to really amp up the energy amongst he and his teammates. How beneficial was that for you and the rest of the coaching staff, and how much do you think that's going to translate over to the Giants locker room, even though he's only going to be a first-year player?
Well, he's a culture driver. We talk about that all the time. He's a guy that, is going to have meetings with the coaches and then be able to take that information down in the locker room. He plays aggressive. He plays violent. He throws his body around. I think he's what coaches are looking for. And everything I know about Coach Judge and everything I know about the organization that he came from, he's going to align with that. He understands, this is about production. It's about doing your job. It's not about all the hype. It's not about the things you say in the media. It's not about any of those things. It's about doing your job and being a high production, low maintenance guy.
I noticed that his cousin was Andre Davis, the wide receiver who played nearly 10 years in the NFL. Was there a closeness there? Do you think there was much influence about, trying to become a pro based on maybe a relationship that he might have had with him?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I can't speak on that. I can tell you that he came from a phenomenal high school program in Bullis High School in Maryland. They did a great job with him coming out. He's got a great family. Mom and dad are unbelievably supportive and did a great job raising him. So, I think what you try to do in the draft and what you try to do in recruiting at our level is you look at these guys and you come up with desirable traits and qualities, and maybe there's 10 to 15 of them by position. Cam's going to be a guy that, maybe is not, elite in any one area, but he's going to have a bunch of check marks in a bunch of boxes. And I think, to me, they're the guys that find a way to have really successful NFL careers, and they're the guys that stay for a long time because they just have too many positive traits that's going to allow them to continue to be successful. The guys that have one or two elite traits but then lack in other areas, those guys usually end up not being overly successful.
Coach, you brought up that he played at the Bullis School, and I was reading, actually, Dwayne Haskins was a teammate of his, and Cam, I believe, was a wide receiver and was catching passes from Dwayne Haskins. Given his background as a wide receiver, how much did that skill set, how much of that athleticism do you think perhaps helped you mold him into eventually being a main starter coming around in 2018 and 19?
Yeah, I think that's the same thing we talked about earlier when it comes to versatility. It's no different with us in the recruiting process. You want guys that have a lot of traits and have a lot of skills and can do a lot of different things on the football field. Guys that play both ways. We want to recruit as many DBs as we possibly can that were high school receivers and vice versa. And it's the same thing at the linebacker position. If you got guys that, were high school running backs or tight ends or receivers that have a lot of different skills and traits that's going to be transferable to defense, there's a lot of value in that. No different than college coaches and NFL coaches like guys that played multiple sports in high school. All those traits, are exciting to develop. And then I think the other thing is, there's still room left in the tank to develop these guys. The guys that have only played football and specialized their whole life, that becomes a little concerning. They only played one position. They only played one sport their entire life. A lot of those guys are tapped out. So a guy like him that's done a lot of different things and brought a lot of different value in a lot of different areas, those guys are exciting.
Coach, you mentioned Shawn Spencer earlier. He was your defensive line coach at Vanderbilt and then also at Penn State. Now, of course, comes to the New York Giants in his first year. His reputation precedes him. I know everybody out there has told me, and I've had contact with a lot of folks out in that area, they're so sorry to lose him, and it's going to be a big gain for the Giants. It is interesting to me that he played safety when he was at Clarion in college football, yet he is known as a defensive line specialist whose unit just gets after the quarterbacks, the Wild Dogs, the whole Coach Chaos nickname. Why do you suppose that as a safety he became such a defensive line guru?
Well, a couple of things. Shawn's one of my best friends. I'm really sad to lose him, but I'm also really happy and excited for his family. His wife's from New York. He's from Connecticut. This was a job that made sense to him, and he had other opportunities. He's had opportunities in the NFL the last couple of years and have turned them down. Shawn's been with me, since my first day as a head coach. He's been with me for 9 years, so we're going to miss him. Now, I will tell you this: I played against Shawn in college. For you to think and for him to tell people he was a safety is not accurate. He was a safety in the media guide, but Shawn was making tackles at the line of scrimmage. Play action killed Shawn because he tried to make every tackle on the field. I don't know if he ever covered anybody, but he could hit. And we played against each other in college and known each other for a long time. But you look at a lot of college coaches are coaching. Excuse me. You look at a lot of NFL and college coaches. A lot of us are coaching positions we didn't play. There's a bunch of NFL coaches that never played college football before. And Shawn's a guy that had an opportunity. He'd coached offense, he'd coached defense, he'd coached a bunch of different positions, and had an opportunity at one point to start coaching D-line and realized that he could make a heck of a career out of being one of the best D-line coaches in the country, and has really embraced that and stuck with that and been phenomenal. And Shawn's a guy that understands, schemes and techniques are critical. We get that. But it's also about morale. It's about relationships. It's about connecting with people. And you guys are gonna love Shawn. He's fun to be around. He's fun at practice. The guys are gonna love him. And he just, he enjoys himself. He doesn't take himself too serious. He's great in the community. You guys are really going to enjoy your time with Shawn Spencer. He's a phenomenal human being, a great friend of mine. We're going to miss him, and I couldn't be more happy for him and his family.
Now, he has the nickname Coach Chaos, so can you spill the beans? What's the backstory behind that, Coach?
Well, he's a little bit of a psychopath in a positive way. He's all over the place. He's full of energy. His mind is going in 1,000 different directions. His body is as well. He coaches with passion. He coaches with enthusiasm. And, this is something that, I think someone said a long time ago, trained in the art of chaos, which is what he talks about all the time. And it's just kind of stuck with him. And, same thing, he calls his players the wild dogs and shows them crazy videos of wild dogs in Africa hunting animals. And he looks for as many different ways to motivate and connect and have fun with his players as anybody I've been around.
Well, Coach, let me ask you this. It sounds as though the intangible part of the game is as big to him maybe as the X's and O's and the techniques. Is that accurate? And how well do you think that'll translate to the National Football League, where obviously the conditions, given that they're professionals, are a little bit different?
Yeah, it's a little bit different. There's no doubt about it. But I still think that's important. You watch NFL players, you watch NFL coaches that have been successful. They still have to have the passion and the enthusiasm for it. When I was with the Green Bay Packers, I was amazed, when I first got there about Brett Favre, how much fun he had at practice every single day. And I remember saying to him, I said, Brett, after all these years, it's impressive to watch how much fun. He goes, Coach, you can't play as long as I played without having fun and enjoying it. And I think to win at the highest level, yeah, the talent is important, and the schemes are important, and the techniques and fundamentals are important as well. But it's also about chemistry. It's also about relationships. Those things are important. And I think sometimes coaches forget that, and Shawn's someone that never has. It's what our program at Penn State was about relationships and people. And Shawn was a big part of that, with our time at Vanderbilt and the SEC as well at Penn State.
Well, and Coach, on the subject of the success of the program, before we let you go, when you look top to bottom on the Giants roster, you're really putting your branches into this organization between Shawn Spencer, between Cam Brown, and also Saquon Barkley and Grant Haley. There are a number of Penn State connections. What does that mean to you personally, the fact that all these guys are now going to be reunited again within the fabric of the Giants organization?
Well, we take a lot of pride in it. Got so much respect for the Giants organization as a whole, their history, their traditions, a lot of similarities in a lot of ways when you talk about tradition and history of the Giants as you do with Penn State. Obviously, being in the same region and footprint, I think, is important. But we just couldn't be more proud. I think, you guys are going to love our guys, how they go about their business, how they carry themselves. I think you guys see that with Saquon. I mean, Saquon, everybody's talks about his talent and the plays he's able to make and his quads and all these things. But I think what you guys have realized is Saquon's a special guy, how he goes about his business, how he carries himself, how he represents the Giants and Penn State, his family. And that's what we want to make sure that we're being a part of. And Cam Brown's going to do that as well. Grant Haley's doing that, and Shawn Spencer's going to do that. So, it's more than just the wins and losses for us. That's a huge part of it, and we don't underappreciate that. But it's also these other characteristics that we know are important to Penn State. I know they're important to the Giants organization and that community as well.
Coach Franklin, one more question about Saquon Barkley. You all had such a great time watching him out there doing superhuman things. And again, as a person, you know what kind of man he is. We have found that out here with the Giants as well. But as you watched some of his clips or some of his games, I'm sure you had a chance to view some of them in the last 2 years as he has just made his mark in the NFL. Is there anything that even surprised you a little bit that you said, hey, wow, I didn't know he had that in him at the NFL level?
No, nothing surprises me with that guy. He's a mutant. The guy can do whatever he wants to do. I'm not surprised at all. He just continues to do great things. He actually was on our team conference call. We have a team meeting on Wednesday, and he came on our team meeting and just once again did a phenomenal job. And we got a couple new staff members and a couple freshman football players, and they were just blown away by him. He kept, obviously continues to do a great job in those types of settings, talking about the best programs he's been around, the best teams he's been around, the best, most successful individuals he's been around, what makes him special, what are the common denominators. And he was awesome. He continues to be someone that we're so proud of and always will be. And I think Saquon's going to have a huge year for you guys this year. I was really happy watching the draft. I saw you guys pick up an offensive lineman and some guys. So that's going to help your quarterback. That's going to help Saquon. It's going to help the whole team and the whole organization.
Hey, Giants fans, Saquon Barkley here. You want to see more videos? Subscribe below.